Without further ado, Caitlin, let's give her another round of applause.
Hi, I'm super excited to be here. My film is titled I Can't Fathom the End. On the poster, I wanted to come up with just like one sentence to sum up the whole thing, and it's about a girl you probably know. It's very quiet, but at the same time, I think it's really relatable, and I just wanted to show the reality of the people who are affected by the impending abortion laws and the ones that have already been created, and how devastating it is, but really just giving everyone a very normal, everyday reality of who is affected. So I hope you guys enjoy, I hope you like it, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts at the end. Thank you.
Caitlin, could you tell us a little bit about that film? Like, what drove you to make it, and then how did it all come together?
So I have grown up in a pretty progressive household, and kind of my entire childhood, my mom used to talk a lot about abortion rights and the right to choose, because when she was young, she was a little bit younger than me, at 21, she had her first child. And so it was always kind of a conversation about how she was in college, and she wasn't trying to hide from us that she went to college and raised a baby, which I think is very important, just being very open about that. So the conversations were always happening in our house. I remember when I was about 8 to 10-ish, she kind of mentioned that the right to choose is not something that's permanent, and that always kind of stuck with me, especially when I grew up and went through puberty and everything, and I was like watching friends of mine just experience pregnancy and stuff, and everything kind of gets put in perspective of what you want and what you don't want. I kind of thought about that, and as the kind of abortion laws started to shift and change throughout the country, I really reflected on that. I reflected on people having their protests, and I thought that was super important. However, I didn't think, as much as I wanted to go out and protest, I wanted my own form of protest, I guess. And I was sitting on a plane to Vegas, and I actually wrote that poem at the very end, just kind of being grateful for what I have. And then slowly that kind of snowballed into me writing a bunch of bullet points about a girl whose story needs to be told, someone very similar to me, who doesn't have a lot of money, who is just trying to be independent, figure out what I want. And that turned into my short film, an outline for my short film. It wasn't a sit down, let's write start to finish. It was more, let's write the poem, and then where does she go from there?
Yeah. Sorry that I was scurrying back and forth there for a minute. But so, have you made a film before? Was this your first time? What were some of your thoughts on making a film for the first time?
Yeah, this was my very first film, but I did work on a short film previously with Caleb, but it is not out, and it hasn't been premiered, and we don't know when it will be. But I was actually just telling him in the car that working on that production felt like a field trip from life, like an adult field trip where you go, you create a project, and then you come back and you have pieces for that project that you can put together, and it's real. And I worked in retail for a very long time, and I've noticed that the efforts you put in every single day get you numbers that you don't really understand. But when you put in all your effort every day on a short film, you get a piece of work you get to share with the world, and that just feels so much more fulfilling. And I actually went to school for communications, and I just really liked the idea of figuring out healthy communication and somehow tying it into writing and filmmaking, and it's kind of like broadened my idea of filmmaking.
I think I mentioned this in an email to you, that it reminded me a lot of, if you've seen the film, it's called Jean Villemin. The whole thing is an address, and I always forget the rest, but it's a Belgian film. And one of the things that is captured about that film is 3.5 hours long, so fair point. And almost all of it is just this woman going throughout her day and doing her daily chores, washing dishes, making coffee. And again, 3.5 hours. You're doing a lot of sitting and watching. And this film sort of felt reminiscent to me of just like letting us sort of get to know this person without any like flash or, I'm not dishing on the director of cinematography here. But a purposeful choice, and I'm curious about that idea. What kind of brought you to? I mean, this is not sensational at all, right? So tell me a little bit about that choice as you made this.
Well, since you emailed me, I actually did watch Gene Dealman. I watched the whole thing, and I was blown away. That is amazing. If you care about film and photography and stuff like that, you should watch it, even just like a clip. It's beautiful.
It's on HBO Max.
Yeah, and the link is on Facebook. You have Facebook. I watched it for free. But but also watch it on HBO Max. But I love that. I love the simplicity of everything. But where I got the idea was actually from Caleb's Instagram, because he was putting out a lot of little videos of his friends throughout the day and his life in Chicago, and just a bunch of those. And I really loved how silky they were and glossy, but like still propelled you forward without speaking. And I really, really wanted to showcase his talent, truly. I think it's really cool that being a young filmmaker, you are able to kind of trade your talents. And I wanted to utilize that with someone that I feel super comfortable with. I've known Caleb since we were in high school, and I've seen his progression in filmmaking, and it's so cool. And I'm so lucky that now, like, my name is also attached to a project that he's been on. So it kind of all started from Caleb and spiraled into me and my poems and kind of combining the two things.
Location-wise, how did you choose where to? Because that's hard with a small budget and with you're not in a huge team or anything like that. How did you choose your locations?
It was a very small team. It was only like 6 people, and we did the whole film in one day. And
Did you really?
yes.
Wow.
And the location is because it is actually Caleb's apartment. So it's funny because yes, that was very easy. Like, I'm very grateful that you're able to use this apartment, and going back, I wouldn't have chosen another one. But a really big reason why I wanted to film in this apartment is because I actually wrote a poetry book a long time ago, a couple of years ago, and it's very simple, just like the short film, and it's all white, and it has like the drawings and the details are all black pen. And I really liked Caleb's apartment because it was plain and white and clean, and it was easy to be a canvas for the project. I didn't have to really worry about moving anything out. I moved some of my things in. All of those props are mine from my house or my mom's. But that's what I kind of liked about it, is it's about a girl who's living on her own for probably the first time. She is spending her money on her little thrift things, the little things that are kind of, some might say dumb, but it's the stuff that you buy when you're 20, and the stuff that you love, and that's what she's focusing on. She's worrying about what are her plans after school, how much money she's supposed to allot for her budget all the time. Like, those are the things that she's learning about in her early 20s. And I think a lot of the times in these films we don't see those little intricacies of her day. So, if that answers your question.
Yeah, that